Hi class, in this video I am going to go over the instructions for the second essay, which is an argumentative essay. So the first thing you want to do is obviously whenever you are on our home page, you want to go ahead and click on either assignments or on modules. If you click on modules, it'll take you to the module that has the assignment. So you can go ahead and scroll down, and then here we have essay 2. So I recommend that you go to modules instead of going straight to the assignment, because as you can see, when you go to the module, I have a persuasion outline, which is going to be part of an assignment that we're going to do later on. It also has the instructions, and it also has the 2 readings that you have to do for that essay. And over here, you have more resources on argumentative writing and things like that. So let's go ahead and read the instructions. So all you need to do is click on the assignment. And this essay is different than the one we did before. The first one was a literacy narrative, which means that you basically just had to tell a story. With this one, you have to make an argument. Now, this one is designed to help you prepare for the common exit essay. So we are going to use the same rubric that we use for the common exit essay, except that it's going to be a little bit different. For the common exit essay, they just give you 1 article to read. However, for this essay, we are going to read 2 articles that deal with similar topics. So I do want to point out that obviously you should read the articles first. Don't Blame the Eater is available online. I went ahead and I linked it, but it's also available in your textbook. So if you want to read it off of your textbook, if you prefer that, then you can go ahead and do it. It's towards the end where all the readings are located. The next article is What You Eat Is Your Business, and this one is also linked here, so you can go ahead and read it online. As you can tell by the titles, they both have the word eat, so they are both related to food and, things like that. So let's go ahead and go over the instructions. In the article, Don't Blame the Eater, David Zizenko discusses the health effects of fast food restaurants and questions who is responsible. In What You Eat Is Your Business, Bradley Balco also discusses the issue of obesity and questions the different measures that are being taken to solve the problem. After reading both articles in a college-level essay, answer the prompt below. So the question you have to answer in your essay is right here. Who or what should be held responsible for people's eating habits and weight? So, like I mentioned, like it's obvious in the title, this has to do with eating. So the question is, who or what should be held responsible for people's eating habits and weight? Now, what you're supposed to do is in a college level essay, you're supposed to explain and defend your response. And you also have to summarize and cite the assigned articles. So basically what that means is that you have to summarize the articles first, and then you have to go ahead and use them as support for your essay. Then you also have to include personal experiences and or observations as support for your argument as well. And this is worth 100 points, and right here we have the rubric. So this right here tells you what you need to do in the essay. So like, for example, does the writing make an argument in answer to the question? This basically means, do you have a thesis statement that answers this question? Then we have, is most of the writing relevant to the writer's argument? So are you staying focused on the argument? And then, is your organization good? Is it supporting the argument? Do you provide reasons for the argument? And then, of course, do you provide examples and personal experiences? Do you summarize the assigned sources, which are the articles? And do you explain with how the reasons and examples support the argument? So basically what this one means is, do you tie your reasons and examples back to the argument? And then, do you use signal phrases? We have gone over signal phrases. So do you use signal phrases when you are incorporating information from the articles? And of course, this has to do with sentence boundaries, paragraphing, things like that, punctuation, and is the writing coherent and readable? Now, if we go up here, I do want to mention is that this is very important. You cannot rely on other sources. You can only rely on these 2 articles. And when you submit this essay, it is going to be submitted regularly as you would submit a regular file upload, but it is going to be reviewed by Turnitin software. So the Turnitin software will let you know if there's anything that you have plagiarized. So please make sure that you check that, because the reason I have it set up so that Turnitin software reviews your essay is not so that you can get in trouble. I have it so that you can see if any portion of it is plagiarized, or if you forgot to like quote something properly. That way you can find out about it before you turn it in. So just make sure that you give yourself plenty of time before you actually submit it. You know, like that way you can submit it. Let's say if it's due on Sunday, you can submit it on Thursday and check if there's anything that maybe is considered plagiarism. Obviously, if it does tell you that a certain percentage is plagiarized, then you do have time to go ahead and fix it and have it ready by Sunday. However, please keep in mind that like if it tells you 3% or something like that, that's not a big number, so you don't have to worry about that. What we are looking at here, if it's like red and it tells you like 50 or 60% is plagiarized. But keep in mind that even though I have it set up so that it doesn't look at quotes and reference page or anything like that, sometimes it still does. So it'll tell you. So like I said, let me show you. If you go to the home page and then if you click on the start here, if you click on that page, there is a video that tells you, when you click on read first introduction to the course, I have a video about Turnitin software. So you just have to go ahead and click down and watch this video, and it talks a little bit about it. So in case what I'm saying right now doesn't make sense, you can go ahead and watch this video and I think it'll make better sense. Okay, so in preparation for that essay, I wanted to go ahead and show you the writing tools module, because I did mention that you do need a thesis statement. So if you go to the writing tools module, we do have a thesis statement PowerPoint that you can go ahead and look at, but I also have a handout on introductions, functions of conclusions, things like that. So definitely go ahead and take a look at this writing tools module, because that is there for you. So let's go ahead and talk about the structure of the essay. So keeping in mind that we are still focusing on modules, this right here tells you what the instructions are for the essay, and these two are the readings. But if you look at the argumentative essay module, that has a little bit more information like I mentioned before. So if we click on persuasive argumentative essay, it tells you how you should structure your essay. So your essay is basically going to consist right now of 5 paragraphs. You are going to have an introduction, and then in your body, you're going to have your 3 reasons, and then you're going to have your conclusion. Right now, we are not worried about the opposition or rebuttal. That is something that we typically do in English 111, so for right now, we're not going to address it because it is our first essay. However, if you feel comfortable and you know about opposition, rebuttals, counter-arguments, then feel free to mention it here. Also, we haven't really learned about ethos, pathos, and logo, so just disregard that. But I did want to show you this just so you have an idea of what the outline of the essay or the structure of the essay looks like. So here I'm going to show you basically how to structure the essay. I'm going to go ahead and type up an outline. So obviously the first paragraph should be an introduction. Now when it comes to introductions for any essay, the introduction should be a introductory paragraph that grabs the reader's attention, but it should also provide background information. And what we mean by background information is that you should provide information that the reader needs in order to understand your thesis, and information that is necessary in order for the reader to understand your argument and to understand your essay. So basically, the introduction should set up your essay, right? And in order to do that, we need to go ahead and start off a little bit general and work our way down to our thesis statement. Now, because in this essay we are responding to 2 articles, like our textbook says, we are entering a conversation that is already out there. What we want to do in our introduction, we want to go ahead and summarize the articles, right? So our introduction is going to be a summary of the 2 articles first. Now, I know that this could be a little bit difficult because you're probably thinking, well, how am I going to summarize the 2 articles? But think about the one that we've done before, and we are going to have an assignment where we summarize and respond to both articles. But what you want to do is you want to go ahead, if it helps you, you can have 2 paragraphs one for each article, or you can just have one paragraph where you summarize the main points of each article and then work your way down to your thesis. So you summarize the two articles, and then, so this is the first thing you want to do in your introduction, and then you want to go ahead and have a thesis statement. Now, in this case, your thesis statement is going to be the answer to the prompt, which is, if we go back over here, the prompt asks who or what should be held responsible for people's eating habits and weight. So we go back to our thesis, and that is the question we have to answer. So let's go ahead and pretend that we are saying that the person should be responsible for their weight and for what they eat. So here we have the beginning of our thesis, which is what we call our claim. The person should be held responsible for their weight and eating habits. This is me telling where I stand on the issue. I am saying that the person should be held responsible. Obviously, you guys can go ahead and have your own position on the argument. It doesn't have to be what I'm writing. This is just an example. You pick whatever side you want. So this is my claim, but we are not done yet because a thesis needs to have reasons. So why do I think this? Why do I think the person should be held responsible? So I can go ahead and add the word because, and then I can go ahead and type out my reasons. Now, typically you want to have 3 reasons because that makes your essay a little bit easier to organize, because like I showed you over here, we need 3 body paragraphs, right? So as you can see, it's easier to have 3 reasons. That way each paragraph can discuss each reason. But obviously, you can have like 2 really strong reasons and break up one of those reasons into 2 paragraphs. It kind of depends, but for the most part, I do recommend that you have 3 solid reasons. So let's say, I'm not going to come up with all 3 reasons right now because obviously I don't want this video to be a little bit too long and I would have to really think about my reasons. So let's go ahead and say so this is my first reason, that I'm saying that people should be held responsible for their actions. Now, I just noticed that I used the word should be held responsible twice. So basically, if that happens, you just need to go ahead and reword it. So let's reword it so it doesn't sound too repetitive. They should take responsibility for their actions. So something like these could be reasons. Now, it's very important to note that reasons are not the same as examples. So let me just go ahead and get on to the second part, right? So these are my reasons so far that I have. Obviously, if I was writing an actual essay, I would go ahead and add another reason here, but for the sake of it, I'm only going to put reason 3, and then I am done with my thesis. Now, please keep in mind that this is an outline. I am showing you how to structure your essay. Obviously, whenever you start writing your essay, this is going to be an entire paragraph, and the last sentence of the first paragraph, the introduction, is going to be your thesis. Once you've written your thesis, you can move on to your second paragraph, which is going to discuss reason number 1. In this case, our reason number 1 is they should take responsibility for their actions, right? That is our first reason. So basically what we're going to do here in this paragraph is we are going to add supporting details so that we can go ahead and support this reason right here. Now, there are some things I do want to point out. Reasons are different than examples, like I mentioned earlier. So think of it this way. A reason answers the question why. So if somebody says, why do you feel this way? You provide a reason. If somebody asks you how, you go ahead and you provide an example. So whenever I teach CCDE 110, I have a lot of students who confuse reasons with examples. So just remember that responsibility for actions is a reason, but I have to go ahead and provide supporting details and examples to support that. So not only does the example answer the question how, but it also supports the reason. So basically, if you want to know how everything works, everything starts off with a thesis, and then we work our way down to the reasons. So basically, we have a thesis, which is our argument. Reasons support the thesis. Examples support the reasons, right? So they all work together and they are all tied to the thesis, but they all work together to support the argument. So let's go ahead and continue with our outline. So to develop this paragraph, you have to have supporting details. Now, what we mean by supporting details is obviously we mean examples, and these examples can be from the articles / the reading we have done, or they can be personal examples. So if you have personal examples that relate to this, like for example, when we read David Zinczenko, he talks about how he lost weight because he joined the military and he was able to lose weight and eat healthier. You can go ahead and put that as an example, how he took responsibility for his own actions. Or if you have a personal example where you did something similar, you can go ahead and put that as well. And this could just be like an example where you say, for example, Zinczenko, he lost weight, he took responsibility. Or you can also go ahead and put a quote from the article. Now remember that in the summary, you don't want to quote, but when it comes to the body, you can quote so that you can go ahead and support the argument or the reason that you are making. Now, just remember that you need to put a signal phrase, right? So you could say, according to the author, and then you put the quote. So you can go ahead and do that. Also, to support a reason or to develop a paragraph, you can also have evidence. And the evidence comes from our sources. In this case, the sources are the two articles that we are reading. So, for example, Zinczenko, he mentions a lot of statistics. So you can go ahead and put some of those statistics in there, right? Like, he mentions that there's a lot of restaurants, but you can go ahead and say, okay, yeah, there's a lot of restaurants, but that doesn't mean that people need to eat there. They can go ahead and eat somewhere else. So let's say he mentions like there's like, I think he mentions that there's like 5,000 McDonald's in every corner or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he says. So if you wanted to put something like that, you know, according to Zinczenko, there are 5,000 McDonald's in every corner. However, the reason there are so many is because people are eating there. So we cannot blame restaurants for people wanting to go there. It's up to the person because they're the ones who are going there. So something like that can go ahead and work. Just remember that whatever you use as evidence, quotes, or examples, whatever it is, has to relate back to this reason, and this reason has to relate back to your thesis. So everything goes back to the thesis statement. Then, after we've done this, we go ahead and we move on to our third paragraph, which is reason 2, right? So then after we've done that, again, we have supporting details. And after we have finished that paragraph, we move on to reason 3. And the same thing happens. We support that reason. And then after that, we have the last paragraph, which is our conclusion. Now, in our conclusion, what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to summarize your argument. So basically, in the conclusion, you summarize your essay. You basically remind us of everything that you've talked about. You remind us about what you said, what your main points were. And then you also show the significance of the topic. So basically, think about it this way. Why does this matter? Why do our eating habits and why do responsibility and, you know, weight and obesity, why is this all important, right? So, for example, after you're done summarizing your essay and highlighting the main points, your main reasons, you can go ahead and say, you know, even though there's a lot of debates, this really matters because people should want to be healthy, right? Like, if you're healthy, that means that other things in your life are going a little bit better. because you're able to work, you're able to be with family. So maybe that's what you think the significance is. Or maybe you think the significance of all this is that we're not taking responsibility in anything, right? Or maybe you think the significance is that we don't care about people's health, that we're not trying to help people. So whatever you think the significance is, go ahead and discuss that in the conclusion. Because remember, we're entering a bigger conversation. So usually, like the textbook says, this conversation is already out there. So we kind of have to discuss what is the significance of this, like why is this even an issue? And of course, remember that in your conclusion, you do not want to bring up anything new. You don't want to bring up new ideas or anything like that because it is the end of the essay, so you don't want to bring up new stuff. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of how to organize your essay. We are going to have another assignment where we actually go online and we use one of the tools available, and we go ahead and we create our own persuasion map or persuasion outline. So that's going to be later on. Obviously, right now we're barely getting started with the essay. So once we get a little bit further and we've summarized the articles and all that stuff, you'll be asked to do the persuasion outline so that you can have like a roadmap for your essay. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope this video was helpful.